A texture in Blender is basically making the material an image. So any image that you want to put on a material, you can do so. You can put an image that doesn't make sense, like a photograph of somebody, onto the roof of a house, or you can put an image that does make sense. For example, I'm going to put roof tiles on the roof of my house. If you want textures, you can download them from the internet. There are lots of places you can look for them. You try to look for ones that allow for repeating. That means that they actually will look nice when they repeat. But also I have a folder in the Beachbox project on the LMS with some textures in it as well that you could possibly use. You can see I've already applied some textures here. I've applied the same texture color to the wood grain image, to the slats, and to the chairs in there, and so on and so forth. So basically I'm going to show you how to do that. It is fairly straightforward, but you do need to have your textures ready to go, and as I said, you can download them from the internet. You can also take photographs of actual textures and use those as well. So for example, you wanted the grey wall texture from the Creativity Center, which I'm looking at right now. You could use that by taking a photograph of it and then applying that texture to a wall in your building. But basically I'm going to use a texture that I've already downloaded, and I need to go into the node editor up here, so I'm going to minimize my picture of my house. I'm also going to click on the materials panel here so I can get a preview down here of what it's going to look like. The first thing I'm going to do is add a texture, and I'm going to choose image texture, and I'm going to click that there, and I'm going to drag from color and connect it to the color, so the color is connected. You'll see my roof has gone black here, and you'll see that over here it's gone a really bright pink color. It doesn't seem to make sense that one's black and one's a bright pink color, but that's just what Blender seems to do. To get my image in, I can click on open, and you can see it's open up to a whole bunch of images here, and the one I'm looking for is called buildings underscore roof 01 color, and I downloaded that from a website. And I'm going to go open image, and you'll now see that the roof has this funny texture on which still doesn't look right. The next thing you'll need to do is add a map, and the map will tell the texture how to work on the surface, because if at the moment it's just a whole bunch of little surfaces. If I zoom up there, it's the same texture over and over again repeated, and you can see it's repeating like tiles. It sort of looks okay, but it's not what I'm after. So basically I'm going to go add, and I'm going to add a vector, and I'm going to add mapping, and you can see here that I'm going to connect this vector from here to here, and it goes sort of rather dark again. It's not totally black, it's actually a brown color now. And I'm going to click on texture just to make sure that texture is set. The final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add, and I'm going to add in from input a texture coordinate, and the texture coordinate is just going to be generated, and this will make it really obvious as to what's happening now. You can see that I've got my roof texture in there. One of the things I'm not happy with straight away is the angle, and I'm not going to go into how I would do this if I was doing this professionally. I'd spend a lot more time on it than this. But basically, I can play with the rotation here. So if I type in 90 for the Z rotation and press enter, it now rotates around a way which makes sense. I can also play with the scale. For example, I could make that 2 in the Y direction, and that makes them bigger. In fact, I want to make them 0.5 in the Y direction to make them just that touch smaller in that direction, so that they look a little bit nicer to me. And that comes down to perspective. But that's basically how we attach textures. So we've got our diffuse shader, we've got our image texture, we've got our mapping, and then we've got our texture coordinate. And those things you need in order to create a decent, very, very flat texture.